If you want to learn a foreign language, you need to sign up for a language course now. If you want to learn a foreign language, you have to live in a country where that language is spoken, right? I think both of these are wrong. And I'm going to argue that as long as you have a device that connects to the internet, you can learn almost any language from scratch. Now, an important disclaimer here is I'm not saying that simply because that's true, and I will demonstrate that it's true over the course of this series, that you should go ahead and cancel that course subscription, or that you should cancel your flight tickets and sell that $1 house that €1 house that you bought in the countryside in Italy. You probably actually should anyway, because it really isn't the deal that it seems to be. No, there is no unitary, singular, best way of learning a language. All of these methods are applicable and all of these methods are useful in the right context and when used correctly. Rather, my point and what I'm going to demonstrate in this series is that out there exists already a mountain of resources that's waiting to be mined by us. And it's a mountain of resources that's actually growing by the day. And we'll get back to that in a moment. The problem, though, is that as a student, you don't necessarily know how to employ these resources. We're faced with this tyranny of freedom, the tyranny of choice. There's so much out there that we can engage with. We want to get the best deal for ourselves, and it's impossible to curate all of that content out there and choose what is most relevant, most useful. And that's where this series is going to come in. This series is going to provide you with practical steps that you can use today to start learning whatever language you want for free, well, mostly for free, online, depending on what the resources are. Now, obviously, and a second important disclaimer, this will primarily focus on those who are interested in learning the Western Romance languages, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and if you're so inclined, Latin as well, because I've got most experience in that. But the general principles, techniques, skills, procedures that I'm going to teach you in this series can be applied for any language. So you can use this series to help you learn whatever you want to, be it ancient Greek, Croatian, Swahili, what have you. And so, with that, I'd like to start with the very first lesson now. And before I do, I just want to comment on, I hope that this isn't distracting you. I think it's actually kind of cute, the little fluffy hat that this microphone has. It's very useful for keeping out the awful sound of the wind blowing through this garden, and yeah, kind of it's become like a little pet to me in a way. But anyway, back to the first episode of the series. So if you want to learn a language fluently, there are four key competencies you need to master. So the first, the first is speaking. The second is writing. The third is listening, and the fourth is reading. And those can be divided into the first two, which are output, right? You're producing something in the foreign language. And then the second two, or the last two, are what you would call input, right? They're input skills, you're receiving the language. What's important first is you've got to prioritize the input. Okay, so there's already this existing comprehensible input theory by which was developed by Stephen Krashen back in the 1970s, and linguists have gone back and forth on this in the realm of applied linguistics. I'm not here to comment too much on that because I'm more interested in practically how this is going to affect you. So you need to master, firstly, two of these three skills. So apologies for the slightly awkward edit here. I lost my train of thought earlier. Now, going back to what I was saying about the two skills, those two input skills we need to work on first, your reading and your listening. That's where the bulk of your acquisition of the language is going to come from. And this is also only going to become the more important as time goes on. These two skills are the things that are going to help you cope in an age where AI is coming to the fore in the language learning sphere. What we know about AI is that AI is very good so far. At the moment of recording this video, it's quite good at producing content and it's good at automatic translation. But if you really want to learn a language, firstly, you need to know what content is useful and good for you. And then secondly, you don't want to simply translate what's going on. You want to actually naturally produce it. It has to, in a sense, come from something inside you, come from your cognitive processes. It has to incorporate itself into your very being and become almost like second nature. And that's something that AI isn't going to help you with currently. What I also want to suggest before we move on to our next video, which is going to be an overview of how you can start reading and listening in the target language using resources online, I'm going to leave you with a bit of homework. Why do you want to learn this foreign language? You might have a plurality of motives. Many times, I know that students want to learn a foreign language because they see a lot of business opportunity. That's a very valid motive. Sometimes students want to learn a foreign language because there's a component of the culture that they have come to admire, right? Well, whatever it may be, knowing why you're studying this language is very important because that will guide you in choosing what resources are right for you to use. You'll be able to apply the suggestions that I give you in the next few videos to something that's more tailor-made, tailor-focused on your own learning style and your own interests. So I'd leave you with that. And I also ask you, if you have any input, any suggestions for how this series should proceed, comment them down in the description below. In the comments below, not in the description, because this curriculum is kind of going to develop over time between us as we proceed. There are so many resources out there that actually I'm not aware of, and you might also bring to this whole process a set of perspectives that I can't possibly be aware of. So I'm open to those, and I'd really like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But having said that, until the next time, I'm going to say adios, valete, and au revoir.